Welcome back to the show, everyone. This is your host, Larry Lou, and this is T3 Podcast Transformation Through Truth. This is the segment of the show that I have entitled Night Night, where I just tell stories while you sit back or lay back or, unwind and just listen and try to get the message out of the story. A lot of us don't learn by, lecture or just hearing somebody talk. Some of us learn better with stories. So I thought I would create this segment to the show that's different than the teaching segment to help people absorb more of the information and maybe be a little entertained. There's nothing wrong with a little entertainment, right? So if you haven't already subscribed, please do. Would greatly appreciate it. Again, just here to try to help and to try to get those who want to achieve their goals and their dreams in life. I'm a certified life coach, and I specialize in spirituality. And I'm going to start using that specialty a little bit more because I think that's also important in life, along with the reality that comes with life. So again, if you haven't already subscribed, I would appreciate it. If you like what you're hearing, hit the thumbs up and even leave a comment. It won't hurt at all. I'm very interested in what you all might have to say about the content. So anyway, today I'm just going to discuss support. And the reason I wanted to talk about what support can look like, real support can look like. I had an experience. Well, first let me say this. I was online and I was on social media. I was on X. And again, it's hard to know what's real and what's not, and what is really to be believed, and what isn't. But I ran across a young lady who seemed to be in distress, and this probably was about a week ago. And basically, she said that she wanted to take her life. And the reason she wanted to take her life was because she had a lot of things going on. One was she felt like she had some mental issues. And aside from the mental issues, she didn't feel like she had the support needed to conquer those mental issues. So she wanted to take her own life. The problem she was having, however, was she had children and she didn't want to leave them behind because she felt like they wouldn't be cared for because she had no support who was going to be there to support them. So from my understanding, if I am correct, she ends up taking her 3 kids' life. And somehow or another, she was rescued. I don't know if it was because she was posting and they found out where she was at, whatever the case may be, but she was rescued before she could take her own life, but the life of her 3 kids were gone. So again, I'm not saying it is true. I'm not saying it isn't. I really don't know, but the message that I got from hearing her and that I felt need to be shared was, or that I feel needs to be shared is, people don't know how important support is until they get in a situation where they are in need of it. I one day went in for a routine tooth extraction at the dentist, and everything went normal. You know what, or how a extraction is supposed to go. I go in, I get treated, and I leave. However, day after day after day, my tooth, the area where my tooth used to be, would not stop bleeding. So I go back, and they end up trying something else, and supposedly that will work, right? Didn't work. So my mouth is constantly bleeding because my blood is refusing to clot. And it was like ugly black. I don't even want to describe it to you all what was going on in my mouth. So I go back a third time, and they said, you might just need to go see your primary care physician, because they didn't have any answers. They said, you're a young man, you on medications or you on anything? I said, no. They said, yeah, I don't know. You don't smoke, you don't drink, you don't do any of those things. So there was a there was a ignorance to what was going on. So I did schedule a routine, checkup, because I'm like, I need my mouth to stop bleeding. And evidently it wasn't bleeding torrentially, like a torrential downpour, just bleeding everywhere, and else I would have bled out. So it wasn't that, but it wouldn't stop bleeding, and I go in, I get checked out, told them why I was there, and gave them some blood, and I left. Well, on my way home, this had to be maybe 30 minutes. I get a call, and my doctor told me just like this. Said, I need you to do something for me. Said, I need you to go home, pack a bag, and check yourself into the emergency, into the hospital. I need you to go to the emergency. I need you to pack a bag, go to emergency, and check yourself into the hospital. So now, I'm a little frightened, because if I heard her correctly, she said to pack a bag. I have never been told to pack a bag to go to the hospital. She said, yeah, I need you to pack a bag because they're going to keep you. And I don't know for how long. So she wouldn't tell me what was wrong, but she said, yeah, well, your white blood count is very high, and just need you to go and for them to run some more tests and figure out what's going on. I said, okay. So instantly I called the wife. She was at school. Told her what was going on. I said, this is what the doctor wants. And I know she was in school and I didn't want to disrupt that. But she said, she ain't care nothing about that. She said she'd be home in a minute and that we were going to go together. So, I called my moms. I called some people that was close to me, my sister, one of my brothers, and told them what was going on. And I go to the hospital. I check myself in. When I get there, they're like, "Oh yes, okay, you just hold on." They called somebody. The person came and got me right away. Took me back, and they started doing all these tests. I'm there maybe 2-3 hours, nothing. So eventually I stop a lady. Didn't know if she was on my team or not, but I asked her. I said, "Can you please tell me what's going on?" They told me this and that, but I don't know what's really going on. And so this lady, she just looks at me. She just looks at me. And it was really, really weird because she looked really, really sad. And she was a doctor, an ER doctor. And she said, "Well, it looks like cancer." So my mother, my sister, and my wife were actually with me. And they, as well as myself, what? Now understand, I worked out 5-6 days a week for the past umpteen years. I wasn't the best eater, but I wasn't the worst. And at that time, I probably hadn't eaten meat in over 15 years, red meat. So I would eat turkey, chicken sometime, and I loved salmon, so I would eat fish. So for her to tell me that that it looked like cancer, I'm like, nah. Called my brother and told him what it was. He kind of was like, "Man, you need to go get a second opinion. They don't know what they talking about." I said, "Yeah, I hear you, because I don't know what they talking about. I felt like I took pretty good care of my body. And when I say I didn't drink or smoke, I would drink in moderation. I probably drunk or would drink. I never would drink at home. So it was when I went out, and I probably went out twice a year. And those were the only times that I would drink. So I felt like I was pretty good. But this is what she was saying. And sure enough, I ended up being in the hospital for 10 days because they didn't think I was going to survive, or they wanted to see if I was going to survive. They had to do a biopsy to confirm it. And how they did the biopsy was they took a drill, a real drill that you see construction workers with, and told me I couldn't be put to sleep and that I couldn't move. And they drilled me in my side because they had to get some bone marrow. So I had to get drilled in my side by a real drill. Couldn't move. If I did, they would have had to do it again. And when I tell you, it was the most painfulest thing I ever experienced in my life. And I felt like I had a pretty high tolerance for pain. But that there, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And that's when I knew something was wrong. That's when I knew something was wrong. Teared up. It was a reality check. And when it came back and they said, yeah, it looks like you have leukemia. And I just couldn't believe it. But when we talk about support, my wife, because after they did all that and the medication that they were giving me, and I couldn't move my waist, and had to take medication for that and all this stuff. I was very sick, very ill. I was very ill. I couldn't walk. So what my wife would do, she didn't leave it up to the RNs or whoever is supposed to, whose ever job that was. She would get me, have them help her, get me to the bathroom, sit in the chair, and she would wash me up. I mean, from the rooter to the tutor, she would wash me up. She made sure that I was comfortable, whatever it is that I needed. She made sure that. And I had my aunties and my friends, coming to visit me. Some of my close friends didn't come visit me though, and this might be another conversation. I have a lot of female friends, but there are a lot of people telling them it would be disrespectful for them to come visit me because I was married, which is kind of crazy to me. But I know some people really believe that, and that's okay. So I had very good support, and had not had that, I don't know where I would be. Because going through that, I'm going to tell you the truth. When you talk about that initial experience, when I walked out of the hospital, I had to have a walker. And I couldn't work. So I was at home, I think for like 3 months, trying to get better, build my strength up and this and that. But I'm on this medication, got side effects. I used to have my wife scratch one side while I was scratching the other, because when I took this and got in the shower, it released histamines in my body. And so I was always itching. And so my whole body, it was the worst. I mean, it was really bad. And so I couldn't sleep. I was up for days. So these are some of the things that was going on with me. And I was in pain. I had to take Percocets or Oxy every 2 to 3 hours. This is how people become addicted. The pain was unbearable. It was so painful my body would shake. Never experienced anything like bone marrow pain. Never. But my wife was there. My mother was there. My sister was there. And a lot of people wanted to be there, but my wife had me. They knew that my wife had me, and she did. She didn't complain. And I know it was hard on her. She didn't complain. She didn't make it seem like I was a burden. She did whatever she needed to do to make sure that I was good. Real support. Sometimes she didn't say all of the right things, but she was always doing. So if a person is not speaking life into you, they're putting or giving you life by their actions. Some of my friends would speak things to me. You still got a job to do. I just don't see it being your time. It's still some things on this earth that the source needs you to do. I don't know how she knew. I don't know why she thought that. The source maybe put it in there. Because My friend was right who told me that. She was like, it ain't your time. It's just not. It's not your time. She didn't believe it. And it wasn't. She she would speak words and speak life into me. So and a lot of times when you going through things like that, something especially like that, where you don't have any answers, no one really does. You need people to give you life. You need people to speak life into you because you don't always feel like you have the strength to live. And I'm going to tell you, I felt cheated. Me personally, I felt very cheated. And I was bitter, resentful at the source. Because we all ask ourselves a question when we feel like we are in a situation that is dire and we have no answers. We all ask the question, why me? When the real question, and you probably heard this before, is why not you? Because I didn't always work out. I didn't always try to eat the best foods. I ate what I was taught to eat because that's what they were taught to eat. Didn't know. And the biggest thing, because I have a strong inkling that has had nothing to do or very little to do with the food and the diet because I had changed. But it was the anger that I carried around for 40 years that I believe created a situation in my body that created the opportunity for the diagnosis. That's my true belief. That's my true belief. But regardless of the why, once I got over that, it was just about the support. So I'm saying this because whoever is going through whatever it is that you're going through, and I know some of us are going through it. Might not be sickness, it might be money. Might not be money or sickness, it might be family. Support is number one. And if you can give it, please do. Because without that support, things just seem so dark and so hopeless that the easiest answer to come to a lot of times is death. I, at one point, wanted to die because living felt so difficult. It just seemed easier to die. That was the easier path. But when I felt like that, I had people giving me life by their actions, speaking life into me by the things that they said. And that's what's needed. That's real support. Now, everybody's not going to be there. Certain personalities out there, one of them is a caregiver. That's what my wife is. Everybody doesn't have that particular personality, but it doesn't mean that you can't be supportive. There are a lot of other ways that you can support someone without necessarily having that personality of a caregiver. If they ask for something, if you can do it, do it. And try to put yourself in that person's shoes. because there is always a possibility that that could be you. So let's not just speak love, let's show love through action. Because sometimes the easiest path seems to be death. And that's what, the thought that came to me when I heard the young lady on social media. It was really sad. I really felt for her. She acted like she wanted to get help. I mean, I didn't know her. I don't know. She might have been rejecting, some help that people was trying to give her because it wasn't the help that she felt like she needed. I don't know. But what I do know, if people really want help and they can't get it, oftentimes the alternative is to not want to go on living. And that's a shame. Because I believe sometimes if people really knew what was going on inside of others, people would be very willing. This is Larry Lou. Elevation is in order. Peace.